Guys got it? All right, hard work on three, sprint to the next spot. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hard work.
Sprint to the next spot. Don't walk. Get there, get there, get there, get there.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jamie here again with Phenom Hoops. I'm here with Patrick O'Brien, Jeff Bendel, and the founder of Phenom, Rick Lewis. We're here to talk about our weekly rankings of the Sweet 16. Here to come and talk about what went behind the scenes thoughts onto our rankings and the process and all that kind of stuff, and give you our thoughts on the teams. Patrick, Jeff, Rick, how y'all doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Can't complain.
Well, good. So let's jump right into it. Our rankings come out every Tuesday, I guess, for the Sweet 16. We do public-private on Monday. Tuesday, we do the Sweet 16 rankings for overall within the state of North Carolina, which is an accumulation of everybody. We're putting them out today which is Tuesday. Let's start off with it. We got Moravian Prep at the top. Guys, they were the only consensus vote here for where they should be at, Moravian Prep. Rick, what is it about Moravian Prep you think that makes them the cream of the crop within the state?
I think they're probably one of the best two-way teams out there. They play tremendous defense, and they're also have the NC State signees with Josh Hall, Shaquille Moore. They have Darius Davis, Damari Harvey, and 6'10" Javarze Belton. They're just loaded at every position on the court. And I think they just have a nice blend between offense and defense, and their defense is very, very, very good.
Without question. They've gone through November and tasked every challenge that we've given them throughout all of our events. They've won every game pretty decidingly, except for the Henderson Collegiate game, which was close, but they showed that they can win a gut-out, a gritty game. Jeff, moving forward into December, they have a pretty tough schedule. They have a very good Piedmont Classical team coming up this week, followed by a matchup with Marjan Beauchamp and Dream City, and then Josh Primo and the AZ Compass team, both teams out of Arizona at the Battle of the Rock. How good do you think this Moravian Prep is on a national level?
Well, I think this December will be very telling, because I think that'll be the obvious indicator of that'll be a litmus test. If they can just fly through all four of these teams, or three of these teams, I mean, we'll have to consider them a top 20 team. As Rick kind of alluded to, their defense, I think, is as has been said all season, is what has really charged them forward. But their depth and their guys that come in and don't need to score. Darius Davis is such a low maintenance role. Tyreek Brown, guys that just come in and just maximize their role and their touches. I think this team could end up being a top 20, even top 15 team after the second week of December.
No, absolutely. I think that they have all the pieces in place. It's just a matter of can they stay the course. I'm very excited to see it. I think they're really the only team in North Carolina that has a chance to really crack those top 25 type of rankings as well. But as Rick alluded to, they're incredibly deep with talent at every position, size and length, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The other thing too, Jamie, is Coach Lowe doesn't get enough credit because he does a phenomenal job of mixing up the defenses from a full court press to a half court, man-to-man. He's always changing the defense and keeping the offense, on their toes.
Which is great to see with him this year too, adjusting to the personnel, because traditionally he's been kind of a half-court zone type of coach and all that kind of stuff. But seeing that the trapping and the pressing and the ball hawking is the type of team he has this year, especially putting Darius Davis and Shaquille Moore at the top of it and then having the length behind it, I think that it's great to see him be able to adapt. And I agree with you. That goes straight to coaching. Falling behind Moravian Prep at 1, 3 of the next 4 teams are public school teams. That's atypical to see typically have a public school team because they're kind of dealt the hand that they're given. They're not able to go out and get kids and have kids transfer in and pull outside of their region. What do y'all think is the strength of this North Mech at 2, Farmville Central at 3, and Millbrook at 5? Patrick, what do you think these teams are ranked so highly for a public school team within the state?
Well, I just think the experience that they have all returning. North Mech has a ton of talent. The style of play they also have, I think, is very enticing. North Mech, Farmville, and Millbrook all can get up, and they've just been dominating so far this season. With a nice blend of experience, talent, and coaching as well.
Rick and Jeff, I'm going to go to both of you guys on this one. Within our internal rankings, Rick, you had North Mech ranked ahead of Farmville. Jeff, you had Farmville ranked ahead of North Mech. Rick, what is it about North Mech that you think is not only the best public school team but the second best team in the state?
Their overall balance. They have 5 starters that are going to be Division I prospects. You got Tristan Maxwell going to Georgia Tech. Also, Traden Williams is a very underrated point guard going to Robert Morris. Chris Ford is sort of a utility glue guy, can do a little bit of everything. When they went up against Independence, it was his defense that shut down Marion Bodrick, who didn't score in that particular game. You have that. You also have Shamon Artist, and then also Jeremy Gregory. 5 guys who are going to be Division I players and prospects. And I think their style of play, they push the ball, the up-tempo, they have perimeter shooting, they have a mid-range game, and they also have a low-post presence as well.
And then, Jeff, going to you, what is it do you think makes Farmville Central the best public school team in the state?
Well, I think you have to immediately look at their guard backcourt in Justin Wright and Traquavion Smith, especially after we saw them combined for, too shy of 70 the other night. But I think it's everything else involved with that. I said it to you that night. I think this team has a unique blend of like IQ, skill, athleticism, and just straight ruggedness that I don't think any other team can match those 4 combined traits from Farmville Central. That said, I do think that, you made a reference that it's kind of rare to see these public school teams in the top 5, but I do think these 3 specifically are, they are kind of the dominating team in their area. North Mech is the team in Charlotte. Whether they're dealt with the hand they're given, but they still have kids come in every year and they have talent every year. Farmville Central is dominating their talent pool out there every year. And Millbrook, Eric Vanderheigen, those types of guys don't grow on trees, and he transferred in on top of already having Will Felton, Sam Hood, those types of guys. So, yeah, while it's rare, these teams are rare teams.
No doubt. And I think this Millbrook team is the most intriguing of all because they're kind of the most unknown of the group. I don't believe that any of y'all have seen them yet this year. Their size is just unbelievable. Their starting lineup once Nolan Dorsey comes back. Nolan Dorsey's been out because of a concussion protocol so far this season. And they're still beating teams by 30 and 40 every game. But 6'6" at the point guard with Nolan, who's going to New Mexico. You have Jalen McCoy, 6'5" at the 2. You have 6'9" Vanderheigen at the 3. You have 6'8", 6'9" Sam Hood at the 4, and then 6'8" Will Felton at the 5. And then coming off the bench, you have 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'3". The size of this team is unbelievable, but also what's crazy about them is the skill set. They have an unbelievable skill set on the team, as well with shooting, passing, handling, and all that. And then Will Felton is a double-double machine at the high school level. He does everything he does within 5 feet. He'll step out occasionally and hit a 15-footer, but everything he is within 5 feet, almost like Jaden Gardner was at Heritage a couple years ago. He's a 25-point, 15-rebound a game type of guy for them, surrounded by shooters and a deep bench of players. The Millbrook team is incredibly intriguing, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do this year. As a team who's always had talent, never won a state championship in the school's history. It's going to be fun to watch how they go because also, just like North Mech and Charlotte, Raleigh is very full of talent. Their conference is very good, just like North Mech's is. So those 2 teams will definitely get challenged throughout the entire year. So it's going to be interesting to see how they withstand that going through everything. Patrick, going to you, Concord Forest Assembly, we have at 4th place in the roster. They're the lone NCISAA team on the ranking. They're the number 1 ranked private school team in the state by Phenom Hoops. What is it about Concord First Assembly you think is has them ranked so high?
Well, coming into the season, we talked about their experience and just their cohesiveness as a team. They have a ton of team coming back. Their guards have really stepped up scoring, Trey, but they also have Garrett Hine and company as well. They have just a nice blend. They understand their roles and understand just kind of where everybody fits into the puzzle with them. Now it seems to be clicking on them. Getting some good quality wins to start the season. So, but overall, I just think it's the puzzles all kind of fit with that program, as well as just having some depth from the bench as well. I think they'll just be clicking so far this season.
Rick, going to you on Concord First Assembly. Once they get fully healthy, we haven't seen this team fully healthy yet with their full team. Once they get fully healthy, how good do you think this Concord First Assembly team could be?
They should be the favorite to win the NCISAA 3A state championship, in my opinion. They should be the favorite. They have size, they have shooters, they have guard play, they have a little bit of everything. You got Shake Jory, who is a rim protector. He's a good rebounder. You have Garrett Hine, who's a great face-up four, who can put it on the floor, who can step out, hit the three. And then you have a Trey Benham, who is a prolific three-point shooter. So they have a little bit of everything at every position.
Mm-hmm.
And they have good depth. As we saw at one of our events, Tyler Fern came off the bench and was MVP of the tournament that they played in.
Yeah, absolutely. Their size and skill, I think, is something that, and they're well coached. They're tough. They're well coached. It's an interesting team to watch. Two teams I want to bring up here before we close out, the teams that probably we had the biggest discrepancy on within the rankings. We'll start off with first Freedom Christian. I know some of us had them pretty high. Some of them not. I'm not going to say low. There's a wide range margin. They came in at 15. We'll go with you, Patrick. What is it about this Freedom Christian team, for where the rankings came, and what are your thoughts on them?
Well, just watching them, I just have they have the talent, they have the size, they have a nice mixture. I love the inside play. I always
Emerick Toussaint?
Yes, I'm sorry. I always mess up his name. Yes, he seems to be playing really well. Saw him this past weekend. Great footwork and everything, but they have a nice blend of inside outside play. Jaden Doyle is now really starting to become a big name in the state of North Carolina. Their guard plays, they're strong. They have a high IQ. They just have a nice blend of talent, and they showed it at the Hoops and Dreams there, showcase there this past weekend. So just the overall feel with them, along with their size and versatility, I like them heading down this season.
Absolutely. And Jeff, I'm going to move over to you, Freedom Christian. What are your thoughts about them, and how good do you think that team could be now sitting at 8-1?
Well, I go back to the same thing with this group is they're already really good, and they're, very early into Brandon Clifford's coaching regime, this team having chemistry with one another, and really these guys learning how to play the game in general, because a lot of these guys are from all around. Jaden Doyle is obviously from Tennessee.
They have 9 new players that speak 8 different languages.
And this is kind of the point that I continue to go back to. They're already this good, and they're only going to keep getting better. Jaden Doyle is the leader and the guy that I think everybody's worth getting excited for. But I mean, as we said, Emerick Toussaint is great. I think he's a definite D1 piece that colleges are just kind of overlooking right now. Manny Alvarado, he knows how to run the team. Bosco, I don't even want to try his last name, but they have guys. Thank you. But Kirill Filimonov, they had multiple guys that were missing this past weekend, but we've seen them for the past 3 weeks play well, and there's a lot to be excited about with this group.
And the other team, Combine Academy. Rick, I know you're very familiar with Combine. What do you see from that Combine team?
Coaching.
Absolutely.
I think they're probably Jeff McGinnis is one of the best coaches in the state of North Carolina. What he did Saturday against Huntington Prep was pretty impressive. They were missing Chris Robinson from the lineup. Robert Dillingham was out pretty much the entire game with concussion protocol, hurt his ankle. So they were not very big, and they were going up against Huntington Prep, who has 6'8", Brakefield going to Duke. You have the 6'9" kid, Cottrell going to West Virginia, and you got the point guard, the 6'3" point guard, Hoggard going to Michigan State. On paper, it should have been probably a 20 to 30-point win for Huntington Prep. Mm-hmm. And going into the fourth quarter, Combine was up 2, and Huntington Prep hits a bank-in 3 from the half court to go up by 1, which was their second bank-in 3. They end up winning by 12, 14 points, but it was a situation where the game sometimes at the high school level, when you have these high-profile teams such as Huntington Prep and also Combine, sometimes the officiating doesn't match the quality of the teams playing. It was a good officiated game, but it got Combine into foul trouble, which they don't have the depth in the bench that other teams. That being said, every game that Combine's going to play, they're going to be in it no matter who they're playing.
Jeff, what do you see from the – I know you rank Combine pretty highly here in the rankings. What is it that you see from this Combine team that you like so much?
Well, I think Rick started it off 100% right. I think one of the best 2 to 3 coach teams in the state, if not maybe even the best. They do more with less, even though Jeff has done an incredible job, and this entire staff has done an incredible job of developing these guys, even since they got there within the last couple months. There's been noticeable steps forward for multiple of their players. But, yeah, I think, like Rick said, they just have a way of – they're going to compete with anybody, and they legitimately have a chance to beat anybody they can compete with. They were in the driver's seat of that Huntington Prep game for about 2.5 quarters. And that's been kind of the story for them is if they can just remain in control. Yes, I think if they have Robert Dillingham, Chris Robinson, it's a different story. Who knows? It's too tough to tell, but that's my opinion on it.
All right, guys, real quick to wrap up, let's do a little lightning round. Single question. Patrick, for you, who is a team outside the top 5 that you think can make a run at, being ranked in the top 5 before the year end?
Out of the top 5, you have to look at – well, David's today is sitting at 8-0. I think they're a team to really start watching. You also have –
Jeff, what about you? Who is a team
sorry.
ranked outside the top 5 that you think can make a run?
Freedom Christian. I know the rules of the game.
Rick, how about you?
Greensboro Day.
Greensboro Day. There we go, guys. So that wraps up our weekly talk about the Sweet 16 rankings. Hoop State basketball, it's unbelievable right now. It's playing at a high level, a lot of parity, a lot of good teams, and that's what makes the discussion so good. For Rick Lewis here, for Jeff Bendel, for Patrick O'Brien, I'm Jamie Shaw. Thank you guys very much.
Guys got it? So hard work on 3, sprint to the next spot. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hard work.
Sprint to the next spot. Don't walk. Get there.